Hello East Texas, America. This is Adam Morrow with Express Employment Professionals. And we're here today at Regal Machine Manufacturing in Tyler, Texas. I've got Blake Warren, the El Presidente of Regal. Thanks for having us today, man.
Yes, sir. Glad you guys could be here.
Blake honored us with his presence at the East Texas Employment Survey Luncheon, where he got to speak to a couple of the questions that we asked at that luncheon. And today we're going to do a little deeper dive into one of those in particular. And so, Blake, the people have some questions. Are you ready to throw some answers at them?
We'll see what we can do here. Yes, sir, for sure.
Good deal. All right, so the question that we asked in the survey had to do with technology and automation. There's a lot of news about technology and automation. I was just reading something recently about Uber. You can hail a helicopter. Lots of stuff about that, and so a lot of the questions are, well, how does that affect the workforce? And so we asked, in 2019, do you plan to eliminate any positions due to technology and automation? And thankfully, for those of us who have jobs, not very many people are eliminating positions. Only 4% said that. But for some reason, there's that idea out there that technology means jobs are going to go away. Why is that a myth?
Well, for me, it's a myth today, and when we sit here in 2019, years ago, manufacturing was pretty much driven by labor and the workforce. There were so many hands involved, just kind of the old school way of thinking, or the way products were built. Over the past, I would say decade, technology is really starting to make a presence in manufacturing. So for me today, that's why I say it's a myth, because it's not the same. Technology is coming in, allowing companies to become more efficient. They're able to bring in a workforce and produce more product on the same footprint, due to technology.
Gotcha. So it's not necessarily replacing labor, but it's enhancing labor. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Right. Yeah, and it allows for growth because it makes you more efficient. You can go out there, you're not at capacity, whereas you may be able to go out there and get some technology, a new piece of equipment, and increase your capacity by 30 or 40%, but you're not having to increase floor space. You're not necessarily cutting jobs, you're just adding more there to capacity in the overall product that you can put out.
Yeah, and I know you guys have made a significant investment in technology, and I think that's probably made you guys more efficient. How has that given you an edge in your industry?
Right. It's given us an edge. Technology, one, allows you to be considered, right out the gate there by customers. When they see that you've taken the time to invest back in your company, at the end of the day, you're invested in your company's products. We've got the saying that we're just basically another site for our customer. We are in their production or in their workflow, and technology, as far as efficiencies, the customers appreciate that investment. There's a lot of companies out there with similar equipment that Regal Machine Manufacturing has here. We're not doing anything special, I would say, in regards to technology compared to our competitors. At the end of the day, to me, it still comes down to customer service being number one. Anyone can go out there and buy this same equipment and load their shop up, but are they going to, at the end of the day, be able to take care of their customer? That's what we focus on. While technology is huge and key, and it does give you an edge. It gives you that just that opportunity in the beginning, for a customer to say, oh, Regal Machine, they've put out the money here, they've made the capital investment. I know they're really here to work, and so that's kind of where we're at.
That makes sense. The technology that we have doesn't replace the human element.
Right.
So it really is, how do you leverage that technology for your customer? And to do that, you have to not only be high tech, but high touch with your customers.
Right.
And I know you guys are like that.
Sure. It takes labor out of a lot of the products, but it's not so much that you're eliminating labor. It just allows you to, like I keep saying, to do more, to add more capacity. You're not having to do a lot of additional steps that you may have to do in the past. You're able to do it all there in one spot. It just saves time and money.
Yeah.
And able to offer more, quality product at the end of the day.
I see. So if there's a business out there that's that's thinking about making an investment in technology, what are your thoughts? Should they consider that?
For sure. For us, we were heavy in the exercise industry. At one point in time, that was probably 90% of our business here in Tyler. There was 2 large exercise equipment manufacturers. That's kind of where we got our start. My dad started the company in '89. And at the time, that's all we knew. Through the mid to late 90s, we didn't know anything different. It's just, that's who we are, that's what we thought we were, and that's all we thought we could do. You kind of get some blinders on. As business starts going overseas and you're kind of forced to get out there and look. Fortunately, we weren't in a lot of debt. At that time, we still had some of the older style stamping presses, not a lot of technology and automation to speak of at that time. In a sense, we were at that point where we had to make a decision. It was either step out there, take a chance, and stay in business, or when we bought our first laser back in 2008, I believe it was, it was a scary time, and at that time it wasn't even my name on the line. I mean, it was, but it wasn't me signing that dotted line saying there with that capital investment by my name. But it was a scary time. But looking back today, say 10 or 12 years ago, I don't know if we'd be sitting here today had we not made that investment. Now you've got to, evaluate your customer base, where you want to go. For us, we knew the business was out there, but you can't go get it unless you have the equipment to do that business. So I guess it's kind of the philosophy, if you build it, they will come. We've tried to remain conservative because you can do too much. So, I mean, there's a lot of other equipment out there we'd love to have today, but we always try and make sure that we stay grounded and humble and know that let's take steps along the way to make sure we're making the right decision.
At the luncheon, I loved what you said when you were describing the effects that some of the pieces of machinery and technology you've added have had on your workforce. I think you mentioned something about that change in your workspace actually maybe added some more entry-level positions and then maybe created a few skilled positions. Talk more about that.
For sure. With the new technology in regards to entry-level jobs and skilled positions, it's allowed us to, here in East Texas, we don't have the same workforce or that's out there compared to some of the larger markets that do a lot of the more precision fabrication or manufacturing that we're kind of involved in. So we are a little limited on workforce. We work with you guys there at Express all the time, trying to just communicate, what we're looking for, some key points. Those guys don't always have to have sheet metal experience, but millennials is something huge that we found out. They love technology. I was doing some reading the other day that I think it was like 50% of the workforce is made up by millennials here in 2019. I think by the year 2030 it'll be 75%. All those people were basically, they were the first generation to be comfortable using the internet, surfing, having a cell phone in their hand, things like that. But at the same time, millennials are also probably the least engaged generation to this point. So you've got to find ways to, get their attention, bring them to you. And the technology for us has allowed us to bring guys in with less experience. We can have some really high skill level positions that more so operate in the background that's programming this equipment, and then have a less skilled, or maybe I don't want to say less skilled, but not as much experience come in and operate the equipment because we're programming back behind it, and then they can pick up the skill along the way. Millennials, if you give them kind of a test and that technology and something that they feel gives them a purpose or a meaning, something like that, then they're going to be more likely to stay and want to be a part of the company.
Wow. So I know one of our other speakers talked about helping people coming into your business see a path, and maybe technology for millennials that you're talking about, they kind of see a path. Here's something I can learn, something that interests me,
right?
And maybe it's a draw just to keep them there.
For sure, I agree.
I hear a lot of talk, or when I deal with businesses dealing with new generations coming into the workforce, millennials and now Gen Z coming in right behind them. How has that affected your business? How do you see those generations interacting with other generations here?
You know, it's interesting. I guess, you know, I'm a millennial there, kind of on the front end of it. So, you know, I think there's kind of different levels in regards to that.
So you're like a good millennial.
I guess so. You know, it's not bad here. It's always kind of a family atmosphere, even though as we've grown, you know, it honestly goes back to my parents and my dad starting the company. You know, everything we just operate with dignity and honesty and integrity, and that's the same thing we're gonna do with our customers and our employees. And I mean, we've still got people that's been here 25 plus years. We've really added to our team here in the last, you know, say 5 to 7 years as we've experienced some growth. But we just want everyone to know how much, you know, they're appreciated to come here and work every day. It's a safe environment. You know, we're not going to be, I always tell someone in an interview, there's not going to be any hollering or throwing things or cussing or temper tantrums. That's not who we are. It's not what we want to be. So I think if you can give someone that stable work environment, you know, can someone else go down the road probably and make a little bit more money an hour? Maybe, but you know, are they going to have the stability, you know, the family-like atmosphere that we're able to offer? You know, for us, kind of getting back where we were talking previously in the exercise equipment, when that was 90% of our business, we've made a main focus, or one of our big focuses, to be diverse. Typically, month to month, we won't have one customer that's larger than, say, takes up, you know, more than 12% of our base as a customer. And you know, while that does make it difficult at times because you're not always doing the same thing, and, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to become efficient at it or as good at it because you're not doing the same thing over and over. But back to that technology side of things, it has allowed us to become more efficient in certain areas where we're able to kind of bounce back and forth. You know, we don't want to be that one shop that's good at whatever this industry is. You know, the oil field, telecom, railroad. We want to be, you know, good at all of it. So that's kind of our attack plan.
So you created a workspace where people want to work, and then you utilize technology to allow you to be both efficient and diverse.
Yes.
That sounds like a really good game plan.
We hope so. You know, you know, no one has a crystal ball that can see the future. As everyone else does in this business, you know, we're more of a job shop. We don't have our own product. You know, we're offering a service for other companies and industries that are out there. So I hope we continue to see growth. You know, I'm excited. I'm glad that we're here in Texas. You know, there's a lot of other places in the country that have struggled, especially in manufacturing. I think East Texas has done a good job. Longview, I think, is probably a little bit of a leg up on us some when it comes to manufacturing, but I think some of that goes back to history when you look at the East Texas economy and market. But I think there's some good things going there with Tyler and some of our local universities. I mean, we're real fortunate with TJC and UT Tyler and some of the programs that they've been able to start. And that's one thing we're going to start working with is some of the local, even on the high schools and things, to get with some of their ag mech groups. We've actually hired some on the school board there with our local school at Hawkins Independent School District. I've got 2 guys that graduated from us last year that were able to come right out of school and basically go to work the next week welding for us. And anyone that's in manufacturing knows that welding can be a tough position to fill, but I think if we can start to work with some of those, you know, the VOAG type classes and the CTE courses and instructors, we're going to be better off.
Absolutely. All right, well, you spoke a little bit about this already, but last question, as you're kind of looking to the future of manufacturing in East Texas and even our country, what are you seeing?
You know, I think it's positive. You know, we're going into an election year next year, so I mean that's always something that can have people nervous. I think for the most part, the consumer mindset has been positive, and I think that you know, at the end of the day, that's what I base everything off of. Is are we positive? You know, that's going to kind of drive the market. You know, Texas is continuing to see growth. I was doing some reading the other day. As far, you know, although the manufacturing industry for the U.S. has just declined over the last 25 years, we're still the 9th largest. If you looked at it on the scale compared to the world, the manufacturing sector in the United States is the 9th largest in the world, just in manufacturing alone. So there's still a lot to be had out there. We talked We have people come in all the time to do some shop tours, and they're like, man, I didn't realize you guys made that or made this. But if you sit down and think about it, and just look around, I don't care where you're sitting at, everything that you see was manufactured somewhere. It all started somewhere from some raw material to be made. And there's opportunities out there. Find those niche markets is key. We like working with people in East Texas. We stretch out there across the entire state and a few other surrounding states. But working with people in East Texas is always something that we look forward to doing for sure.
Well, that's a good word. Blake, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks again for having us, man.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
And,
thank you guys. Express, can't say enough good things about you guys. You really help us out, and the relationship that we've had there over the years. I mean, you guys do a great job.
Appreciate it, Blake. Thanks so much.
Thank you.